How do you undo an A6? What is an A6? How do you undo a Texas home equity loan that got tagged as an A6? How do you get rid of it if you want to do another cash out home equity loan in Texas? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, an A6, let's establish what that is. An A6 is it's named after the Texas Constitution, and yes, there's such a thing, where it talks about home equity loans, mortgage loans. And it's under the article, whatever it is, and an A6 shows up. And that's where it talks all about what can and can't be done with Texas home equity loans. So when you're refinancing a home and you want to take cash out, and so somebody says, man, I want to take cash out of my home. That becomes a Texas A6 loan. And that's when it's your primary home. If it's an investment property or a second home or something like that, that's just a normal loan. But when it's a primary homestead in Texas, cash comes out or equity gets tapped for the sake of having cash, that is an A6. Now, home improvement loans are different. Those are not A6s, but it needs to be coded correctly to make sure it doesn't become an A6. So what do I mean by that? If somebody goes in and wants to do a $100,000 improvement, put in a pool, let's say, it's a nice pool, let's say, but if they go get that 100 grand, if it's done correctly, that won't be shown as an A6 if they meet the laws that go around getting a construction loan. The homeowner is not allowed to have a penny of that money. If they do, that becomes an A6. So if all that money goes to a third party contractor or to the pool company, then it's a home improvement loan, not an A6. So hopefully we've now established anytime somebody gets money out, or here's an example where somebody cannot get money out. If the money was used at closing, let's say somebody owes 500 grand. Let's say there's, making this up, $5,000 worth of cost. And so at closing, they're allowed to get a $505,000 loan amount. That is not an A6. They've just paid for their closing costs. You're allowed to roll closing cost in. Now, let's say somebody had a $15,000 credit card balance they wanted to get paid off. So at closing, this $15,000 credit card balance got paid off. So now the mortgage that was 500, throw in 5 grand to closing cost, which so far we're good, but now throw in that 15 grand of actual credit card debt, that even though you did the check and you didn't get to go to off to Vegas with the money, if you use it to pay off something that's not the mortgage or mortgage related in this case, like the closing cost, if you use that 15 grand and your new mortgage is 520 grand, that is an A6, even if you didn't get it cash out. So you technically got equity because you need to pay off these credit card bills. So having an A6, we've been gotten a lot of questions lately. We've seen that a lot of these questions originated from loans that were done during COVID. And my speculation is this. A lot of loans probably were tagged as A6s during COVID without the consumer, the homeowner, knowing it. Here's what I think happened. In some cases, maybe the buyer did get cash out, like that credit card example I gave, and didn't know it, or wasn't aware that a loan would become an A6. And I'll explain why that matters in a second. Um, and maybe it wasn't. And maybe the title company or the mortgage company just did it wrong. Because during that period, a lot of unseasoned newbies came into the mortgage business and the title business to help with all this volume, and they may have done something inaccurate. And even if it truly wasn't an A6, they may have tagged it as an A6. And the good news is, in that instance, if you can truly prove that it wasn't, you can go fight it, and that's a whole nother process that you can do. But why does it matter? It matters because one in Texas law says that once you have an A6, you can't have two of them on a home. So what we're finding is people are calling us up from their, saying, hey, they want to borrow that 100 grand for cash out. They want to pay off some credit card debt. They want to maybe use some of the money for remodel. They want to use some of it for college tuition, whatever. They want to tap 100 grand of their debt because equity right now is at an all-time high. So prices have appreciated since COVID. So they got this ton of equity. They say, man, I want to tap some of it. They're welcome to. The problem they're finding, a handful of folks, is that the current A6 on their mortgage sitting at 3.5% interest rate prohibits them from getting another A6. So they can't go get this 100 grand as a second mortgage. So that is unfortunate because now the only way around it is to get rid of the current A6. And the only way to do that is by refinancing. And I don't like it any more than they do, but if they got a 3.5% rate, they're going to have to refinance whatever current market rates are to get rid of that A6. Now, their options are they can either get a new A6, so take whatever they have now and then add that, my example here, 100 grand to it, or they can just refinance and do a quote normal loan, but still at today's rates, and then go get a second mortgage like we talked about for the HELOC if that's what they want to do. Which one's better? Just depends on the math. Depends on the rates, and there's no easy answer I can give you here on a video. It's one of those like we just have to run the math with you and for you so that we can help you determine which one is better. But it's really unfortunate. Again, this exact scenario, I saw one just literally 2 days ago. Crystal's seen a bunch, Justin, Tamara, like the team has seen a bunch of these lately. And again, it's really unfortunate because there is no real legal way to get rid of a real A6. You're like, well, I didn't know. You signed the papers. So if you didn't get an A6, meaning if there was truly, you didn't do anything, and the mortgage company tagged you to say, or the title company puts an A6 designation on there, I have heard instances where people have gone back to the current, to that mortgage company or to the, the title company and said, hey, I don't think this is right. And they've supposedly worked through it and got it redone. I don't know to what that extent, how much that takes. I don't know how much effort that is. I don't know how much costs are. I have heard that it's starting to happen and it's becoming more and more because of what did happen. So if you're watching this, you're like, man, I don't know if I have an A6 or not. One, you can look at your paperwork, see what it says. If it says anything about Texas home equity or a 12-day letter, probably have an A6. But the real way to do it is look at your title work and see if that designation or the verbiage is in there. And if you're not sure, just reach out to us. We can help you, or the title company can help you. But find out if you have it. If you do, if it's legitimate, you do have it. It's unfortunate. The only way to deal get more cash out is to either redo that one or turn that one into a new loan that's not an A6. So, one other thing is this is the nerd mortgage stuff. Like you don't care as a consumer, but just to share it with you, you're at least lucky that you can nowadays refinance and get rid of that A6. If you truly want to go get a second, because it used to be, and I don't know the exact time period, I should look this up. I think it was like 2018-ish, give or take. Texas law changed that allowed folks to say, okay, you can at least get rid of an A6 with a refinance. Back then, prior to that time period, if you got an A6, it was always an A6. Even if you refinanced it again and didn't get cash out, they're like, nope, it's still an A6. So once you had an A6, you could not go get a HELOC ever in Texas on that mortgage or on that home. So the good news is at least it changed a little, but it's still cumbersome and unfortunate. So if you didn't know that you got one, I'm really sorry. I really am. But certainly reach out to us. We can, go through and look at your situation and see which option is best for you. But A6s, it's a real thing. They're good loans if you know that you're getting the A6. They can be unfortunate and big time inconveniences if you did an A6 without knowing it. That's where we've seen a lot of folks having problems. So if you do need something, reach out to us. The Mortgage Mark team is here to help. And just remember, when you think mortgage, think Mark.